Business has been going great, and the AI consulting side of my business has been growing as well. And every minute I get, I'm pumping time into learning the new platform, really trying to become a subject matter expert in this space. And a discussion that is happening over and over again is, how is AI affecting the education system? I hear all of these educators, all these school systems, I hear them freaking out. Oh my God, ChatGPT, it's helping students cheat. Oh my God, ChatGPT, it is ruining the classroom environment. People aren't actually reading the books. Wake up. The education system has been broken for a really, really long time now. I've been in the education system for a long time. I am way overeducated. I went to school much longer than I should have. I went for a bachelor's degree, then I went back and got my MBA. You know how much of that knowledge I recall from my bachelor's? Almost nothing. And the MBA degree, it's absolutely worthless. I did it in entrepreneurship. I got it from Montclair State University. I met some amazing people. I had some great instructors even from time to time. But the material that was taught was so outdated. It did not prepare me for the real world. When I opened up my first business, which was Heal 3D, it was a benefit corporation dealing with 3D printing. I was 3D printing for pediatric departments. And the amount that I learned during that process trumped all of those 8 years of school. I will say that the one thing that school has taught me to do is to force myself to be interested in things that I'm not interested in and to go ahead and carry out those tasks. However, the way I was motivated was not really by positive reinforcement. It was about the fear that I'm going to fail, that I'm going to be a disgrace, that I'm going to lose the money that I paid for tuition. And one thing that I always hated is that instructors never really taught the students why. Why are we learning this? What is the inspirational, motivational thing? What is the light at the end of the tunnel? There was none of that. The whole system, I feel, has been broken and is so outdated. It is like industrial revolution type classrooms. And I felt like one of the things that was really missing is participation. In-class discussions, presentations. I mean, some people that were graduating with an MBA from my program could barely string a couple of sentences together, let alone go and pitch a product or a service or have a presentation. And they had those 3 letters at the end of their name, MBA. And as I was going through my Master's of Business Administration program, I realized it was a giant waste and a mistake. However, I already have sunk a lot of cost and time into it. So I went ahead and I carried it out. But what I feel like ChatGPT and some of these other AI platforms is doing is great, because they are taking the education system and they are flipping it upside down. I love that there's panic right now in teachers' faces, in school system faces, in colleges. I love that tuition is becoming an issue, that enrollment is becoming an issue thanks to the pandemic as well. I love this because it needs to be completely torn up and built up correctly. Teachers need to inspire and motivate students. I'm so tired of hearing professors complain that kids are not reading the books, that they're using ChatGPT to go ahead and cheat. People have been doing that forever. Spark Notes have been around forever. Now that the tools are out there, you can't put the cat back in the bag. Why don't we just use it to our advantage? Why don't we have courses and curriculums that go ahead and involve AIs? So if you're doing a project, go ahead and use AI because it's a real world tool. It's like that mathematics class that spends 80 or 90% of the time going over the in-depth formulas and all the people that devised these formulas and everything else. And then the last part of the class saying, oh, and by the way, you could do it on your calculator by pressing these 3 buttons. We're in the age that we should just be teaching that you should press those 3 buttons because that's a tool. The calculator is a tool. And I feel like the calculator is akin to AI back in the day before there were calculators. And then all of a sudden calculators came to be and mathematics professors were probably freaking out. Statisticians were probably freaking out. But the world is evolving and we have to adapt to the times. I feel like what the education, the school system has been missing for so long is deep thinking, conflict resolution. Whichever way AI is hurting classes right now, it is just pointing out that the way that students are being assessed and the way that our educators are espousing their wisdom may not be working out. It may not be the ideal model now, and honestly, it wasn't before. For instance, when I was in high school, Spark Notes, Cliff Notes, that stuff was just coming out. And everyone started Spark Noting when it came to Shakespeare or Orwell or some of these other books, even easy to read books like Lord of the Flies. People were just going ahead and using Spark Notes to just get some of the key points. And what happened is teachers caught on to that and they started giving assessments that was just quotations, and you had to say who said that and why they said it. And it was no longer this assessment or analytical thing. And I always had a problem with those discussions, with those assessments. I had an issue with the instructors not educating and influencing the students by telling them, hey, listen, this is what you get out of actually reading a book. This book is going to allow your mind, your brain, to create the story that you're simply reading just words on paper. You are creating and painting a story in your mind. And if you could follow that story and you can draw certain parallels and connect it together and gain some insights from it, that then is going to be a whole different, interesting, enriching experience. You're going to be able to have takeaways from the book that's going to stay with you for weeks to months to years, where you will reflect back and think, oh, wow, this is a lesson learned from there, or this is reminding me of that. And the fact that your brain is creating this story by just reading some stuff on paper and you're painting this movie in your mind, you are getting your creative juices flowing. This is so helpful when it comes to creative thinking, deep thinking, when it comes to critical thinking. None of that was ever explained. All that teachers and educators would say is, hey, if you're using Spark Notes, you're cheating, you shouldn't do that. And now we're going to give you a test. We're not even going to talk about metaphors, what the story means. We're going to punish you by just giving you really boring quotations, and you're going to have to say who said this and why they said it. And I always felt like that was a cop-out by educators. Instead of fixing what's going on in their classrooms and figuring out why students don't actually want to read the book, they went ahead and punished people. But guess what? Times have changed, and realistically, a lot of people don't read books anymore. For instance, I don't read a lot anymore at all. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, I digest a lot of podcasts, and I gain a lot of information from that. I still learn a lot of interesting vocabulary words. I still can draw parallels, can do deep thinking while I'm listening to certain podcasts, listening to certain novels. I am still digesting and absorbing the content. And although it's frowned upon in the classical sense, it's just where we are today. Audiobooks are available for every single book that's worth its salt. And so now that ChatGPT is out, a lot of the school curriculum will have to adapt to it. And I really do hope that a lot of these educators, a lot of these college professors that are hired are not just hired because they beefed up their resume by publishing some things in journals. I really hope and wish that the education system starts assessing teachers and educators on, are they able to relay the information effectively? Can they articulate it in an inspirational and motivational way? Are they actually moving people in the classroom? Or are they simply a YouTube video that you click play and you see some presentation, PowerPoint or Google Slides in the backdrop and someone just mumbling along? Because that's just not going to work anymore, and it doesn't work for this day and age. I truly believe that if we revamp the system to really educate the individual to be ready for the workforce today, for the skills needed, because again, a lot of these kids that are graduating, they have no interpersonal skills. They cannot carry helpful dialogue. They cannot articulate the thoughts in their mind with clarity. And it is so troublesome. I mean, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of business owners. Over this past decade, I have rubbed shoulders with some really impressive people. And what I've learned is that being able to articulate creative thinking, problem solving is like some of the most important stuff that you can learn. And that really dictates how you're going to perform in the workforce. Obviously, being disciplined, obviously, being able to handle gritty work, being able to have patience, being able to push through, being formidable, being resilient. This is all really, really helpful characteristics for certain industries. But I just don't feel like the school system is preparing anyone from that currently. And the fact that everyone's freaking out because there's a way to cheat, there's always been ways to cheat. And so personally, I'm actually looking forward to the chaos. I'm looking forward to the shakeup of the educational system. I want instructors to go ahead and drill into the students why they are learning. I want students to be more motivated, more inspired. The people that are coming out with 4-year degrees or even master's degrees or even beyond, they suck as workers. They are not disciplined. They are not resilient. They don't know how to problem solve. They don't know how to work in groups. They are not well-rounded individuals that are ready for the workforce in many aspects. It's so interesting to me that everybody's freaking out rather than welcoming the artificial intelligence revolution, saying, okay, these tools are here. How can we use these tools to better the human experience? How can we use them to go ahead and level up? I wish that everyone would just stop being so afraid of it and think creatively and critically about how to integrate this into the school system, into the workforce. I am telling you, the clients that I have now, that I'm going ahead and creating a much more efficient and lean business model with the use of artificial intelligence platforms, they're ecstatic. They are welcoming it. And at first, it's definitely a learning curve, but then they see the value in it. They see that it's tools of today. Tell me in the comment section, do you agree? Is the educational system broken and ChatGPT and these other AI platforms, they're just highlighting it? They're just pointing this out? Or is it really an issue? Is AI really ruining a system that was great and very effective, and now because of ChatGPT and some of these other platforms and completely turning it on its head, that now it's a problem and there should be rules and laws, and maybe in some schools or even campuses they should have like no internet policy, especially inside of classrooms, which probably wouldn't be the worst idea, to just completely shut off and make sure that no one can use technology inside the classroom so that people are actually focused, engaged, paying attention, interacting, handling the group projects, doing presentations, having really intricate, interesting discussions. Let me know in the comment section. Let's start talking about it. If you have any good ideas, pass them along. I know a lot of educators. I run 3D printing workshops myself. I've been doing it for nearly 8 years, and I'm always looking and reading about different ways to encourage students to be more involved, to be more interested, so that they could retain the information better, so they have better retention, and so that they have a deeper, better understanding of what they are learning, and most importantly, how it applies to real life. Because real world application is such an important factor when you're teaching someone anything. And I feel like a lot of educators, they just don't understand that, or unfortunately, they're incapable of providing that. And that's where I feel it is on those that hire educators and teachers to understand what is truly important, and to understand that you have to hire people that when they teach, the stuff that they teach is going to stay with the student long enough so they could actually use it in practice, in the real world, in their careers, even in their personal lives. So with all that being said, I hope you guys found this to be a little bit of an interesting topic, and I look forward to discussing it with you in the comment section.